Hi everyone, I'm coming to you today in my pajamas. Sitting here, I'm just making a video because it's something that's been on my mind for about, I don't know, a week or so. And I've watched a couple of response videos and I felt like I wanted to talk about this and kind of share some of my thoughts and feelings with you. So this is kind of a video response to Wild Moon Women. If you don't know, she's someone in our tarot community. You know, if you probably know who she is. If you're watching this channel, you probably know who she is. If not, she was a really great tarot reader and part of kind of the New Agey goddess kind of community online. And she recently put up a video saying that it was a testimonial video where she said she was no longer doing tarot or New Age, that she's now converted to Christianity. And she believes that those are, she didn't use words like demonic or anything, but she said, you know, like she thought that that was kind of like the devil trying to trick people and stuff. So she believes that that's not congruent with what she's doing right now. So this is not a video to like, diss her or anything like that. It's more about like my reaction to it and maybe like our community and how we as community or we as individuals that are part of like a witchy or New Age community react when somebody, releases these kind of things. So first of all, I want to say that I always loved her videos, and I think this is very different than what happened with Doreen Virtue. With Doreen Virtue, first of all, I don't consider Doreen Virtue a peer. She's somebody who was like a multi-million-dollar like author and somebody who Hay House kind of had set up as like this guru, and she definitely came across as like, I'm connected to angels and I have this special connection, and she charged people lots of money to like learn from her and everything. So she had set herself like above others, and I think that was something that really worked against her when she went and converted, because a lot of people felt like they had been duped or that she was a charlatan or a con artist. And this is, I don't feel the case at all with Elise, who had the channel Wild Moon Women. I always felt like her, and if you watched her, you probably feel the same way, that her stuff was always very genuine, and she came across as like genuinely, like she believed this, and at that time, and very much like sharing herself and very positive and very honest. And she always came across that way. So and she was somebody too that was part of this community. I've commented on her stuff, she's commented on mine. Like, we're just, she's part of this community that we're in. So first thing that my reaction was when I saw this was sadness. And when I first saw it was actually through Instagram rather than YouTube, because she hadn't made a video a while on YouTube, but her Instagram had changed. Her Instagram had changed to have like Bible quotes, and it was very different. The tarot stuff was gone, and then I went to her channel and all the videos were gone. So obviously I knew at that point something had happened. And then later she put out a video with her testimonial and talking about her conversion at that point. So it's became obvious what had happened. So when I first saw this, I had, two reactions. So I'm going to talk about the first one and I'll talk about the second one. My first one was of sadness, like I was saying, because, I really enjoyed watching her videos. And I mean, if you're watching someone, it's probably because you enjoy them. And I really liked her style, and I thought she was, very genuine kind of person, and had like a really, she had a glow about her. She was just like a really, I really enjoyed her. And so I'm sad that I won't see those videos anymore, see those posts on Instagram, and so I feel like it's a loss for the community that we don't have her in the community anymore. So I feel, you feel sad about that. It's like, if you went and sat at a lunch table every day with people, and then suddenly one of them stopped sitting with you, and then when you asked them why, they were like, well, I can't sit with you guys anymore because, I don't believe in, whatever. So it's sad, it's a loss, right? And also there's, a sense of, certainly some people feel rejection when this kind of stuff happens. And I mean, I don't personally feel rejected by her or anything, but, I think that some people sometimes in a community, when somebody leaves, can definitely have that reaction or feel that way. But I do feel sad about it. The other thing is my knee-jerk reaction, and I know this is me, reaction when somebody converts is I'm always like, ugh. Why? It's just, to me, it doesn't make me angry, isn't the right word. It's like, for me, it's so opposite. I just feel like I worry about the person. I feel afraid for them sometimes. I also feel like, ugh, really? because of my personal history. And again, I'm pointing that back at me. I'm not pointing at her, I'm pointing that back at me because of my personal history. I mean, I have my own issues. For those of you that don't know or haven't heard this story before, I was raised in a very strict, like conservative Catholic household as a child. And so not, there's, Christianity is like a really broad spectrum, and Catholicism even is a broad spectrum, but very conservative. I was sent to like a very conservative Catholic school. And for me, it was very oppressive, especially as a woman, because it was very much like women are second-class citizens, they're here to serve men, and very much like you're not allowed to do that because you're a woman, and you have to perform household duties and all this stuff. And then also it was very oppressive when it came to like women's sexuality. Women were shamed for it, especially as a teenager growing up, you're shamed for it. And they were against things like, obviously they're against abortion, but they're also against any form of birth control whatsoever. So it was all about controlling women, especially controlling women's sexuality, women's roles, that kind of thing. And so I had to like get away from that. And I would say, like, even as a child, by the time I was 12, I knew that this was not for me, and I needed to get away. And so I obviously grew up and left, and it caused a lot of rifts between me and my parents, and it was very hard. And to this day, it can cause strife between me and my parents. I think it's better now than it was, but obviously, like, I don't want to go into a long story, but for me, Christianity has been an oppressive force. And I've had other people over the years, try to I had an ex-husband that was abusive and was at times, and sometimes, not all the time, he would use it very selectively, would sometimes use Christianity to try to like manipulate me or try to tell me I was bad, to try to shame me. But at the time, I didn't believe in Christianity, so it was kind of like it didn't work. But I do have, I have a negative reaction, because to me, I see that right away as like, that's a control mechanism, and I view that as shackles, and I think, if you're free from those shackles, why would you go and put them on? Why would you go and put them back on? Because that's the way that I feel about it. But again, I recognize that's me. That's about me. So for me, Christianity is an oppressive force. But at the same time, I recognize that Christianity is a very broad spectrum. And there's all different types of denominations, and within those denominations, there's all different points of view. I'm friends with people who are Christians and Catholics that don't act like that towards me at all. And so, I recognize I hope I'm able to kind of separate that out with them. But that is my knee-jerk reaction when somebody says they converted. I go, ugh. Really? Like, I just see that as like, why would you walk into prison and lock yourself up? That's my reaction to it, because of my personal history. And I recognize as well that from what she said, she never said what denomination she was, but the way she was talking, was obvious that it was an evangelical type thing, because of the testimonial, which is very much an evangelical thing to do, where you denounce whatever form of wickedness you were doing, and then you say you've given yourself to Jesus now, as a way of, Kelly Animatics said it was like an advert, and I think in a way it is a bit of an advert to try to convert people, but I don't think that was so much what Elise was doing. It's more about like how you're rejecting your old ways and you're new now. It's like proof to your new Christian community that you are sincere and that you are part of this life. Now, the unfortunate part of a testimonial is that it often involves renouncing or talking about how wicked your old ways were, and that can often lead to a lot of hurt for the people that you have said, I no longer want to sit at the lunch table with you. It's like, if you want to sit with the cool kids at the cool table, you got to talk about how bad the nerds were, or whatever, vice versa. You could say it the other way. And that's the mentality, I think, that people get upset about. And I don't think that's necessarily what Elise was trying to do in this particular video. But I have seen testimonial videos that do definitely do that, and I think Doreen's kind of did that. Pooping on people that kind of came before you, or that helped you out, or that were part of your community. And I think that's where the hurt comes in for people. I think too that when people talk about that stuff, they often, as Kelly Animatics had put in her video, boil down their old ways to something very simple. And so it can come across like that person didn't really understand what it was all about. One thing that's really helped me with looking at those kind of things is, and I can't remember the scientist that came up with this, but there's 6 levels of religious thought or religious progression. The first is when you're a kid and you just believe whatever you're told. The second is where you identify with your religion that you're brought up in, and it's kind of more like you don't take it on so much personally, but you believe in yourself, like we're all Anglicans, or we're all Buddhists here, or we're all Methodists, and it's more like a civic thing, and you don't really question it. You don't question, you're just like, we're all Methodists. My family was Methodist, my grandma was a Methodist, and this is what we are, and you don't question it. The third level, and a lot of people never get past level 2. Level 3, people take it on and they can become fanatical about it, where they take it on as their individual, like it becomes part of who they are in their individuality. They can become very enthused about it and try to like convert others. They can become very fundamentalist and try to force others in an extreme mode of level 3. But like any criticism is seen as an attack. A lot of people when they're new to religion are in level 3, like new to any religion, where they've just were like, they believe whatever it says without question, and anybody questions it is wrong, and they're just like so narrowly focused on it. And some people never get past level 3, like they're just like, this is the way it is, and I do not see anything outside of that box. But then people get to level 4, and level 4 is the crisis point where they start to see all the cracks. They start to see the flaws in their philosophy. They start to see where something may not be what someone else said it was. They start to see that the teachers are flawed, that they have problems, and that causes a crisis. And for some people, they run straight back to level 3. And that could be within their same religion where they go, no, that's the devil trying to trick me, and I have to go back to the old ways. Or they run to a new religion because they are like, I'm at a crisis point and I need something to give me all the answers. But if you can stick through level 4, if you can stick through that, you'll get through to level 5. And level 5 is where you may still identify with a particular religion, but you begin to see that it doesn't have all the answers, and that you can take from other religions that no one has all the answers, and that there's good and bad in everything, and nothing's perfect. Nothing's going to be the perfect answer to everything. And so you start to see the commonalities between people, and you look for those commonalities. And you probably identify more as spiritual than religious. So you may still identify as like a Christian or a Buddhist or whatever, but you're not so rigid about it, and you see that other people have a point of view. Now there is a level 6, but that's like Dalai Lama level, and let's face it, most of us are not going to get to Dalai Lama level. So I hope I'm in 5. I like to think I'm in 5. I hope so. But that to me, level 5 is where it's at, not level 3. I think also sometimes when people are in a crisis and there's something that they need to fix, they want someone else from the outside to give them the magic answer. And whether that magic answer is Jesus or tarot cards or, I don't know, Qigong, it could be anything. An evangelical minister, they look for the answer outside of themselves instead of in here. Those are all just tools. None of them are going to give you, they're not going to fix the hole in your heart. That's something you have to do. That's not going to come from some outside thing. And so that kind of helps me to understand when I see people do that they're probably having a level 4 crisis. Now, I don't know all the things going on in Elise's life. I have no idea. I don't see the whole picture. I see a little screen. I see a little tiny snippet of her life. But I sincerely hope that whatever she goes on to next works for her. But this works for me. I just wanted to talk about how I was feeling about it. Let me know how you're feeling about it. Let me know what you think of all this. I wish you guys all the best. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, peace, love, rock and roll.